For 10 long years, the walls of Troy stood unbroken. Thousands of warriors clashed, heroes fell, and kings wept. But was this truly a war of men? Or was it merely a game played by the gods, where mortals were nothing more than pawns on a divine chessboard? War did not start with bloodshed, but with a single golden apple. At the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, all the gods of Olympus gathered to celebrate, all but one. Eris, the goddess of discord, was uninvited. Enraged, she cast a golden apple among the guests, inscribed with three simple words: "To the fairest." Three goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, claimed the prize. But who among them was the fairest? None could decide, so they turned to Zeus. The king of the gods, knowing better than to choose among them, appointed a mortal judge, Paris, prince of Troy. Each goddess offered Paris a gift. Hera promised him dominion over all kingdoms. Athena offered wisdom and victory in war. Aphrodite, with a knowing smile, offered him love, the love of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world. Across the Aegean, Menelaus called upon the kings of Greece to reclaim his stolen wife. His brother Agamemnon saw an opportunity, not just to aid his sibling, but to conquer Troy and claim its riches. And so the greatest warriors of Greece gathered. Achilles, son of a goddess, whose very name would be etched in legend. Odysseus, the cunning mind behind countless schemes. Ajax, towering and indomitable. Together with 1,000 ships and 100,000 men, they sailed to Troy. For years, the war dragged on, neither side gaining victory. The walls of Troy stood unbroken, and even the mightiest warriors fell to despair. Then came a division among the Greeks. Agamemnon, in his arrogance, took Achilles' war prize, the maiden Briseis, as his own. Enraged, Achilles refused to fight. Without their strongest warrior, the Greeks suffered heavy losses. The Trojans, led by the noble Hector, pushed them back to the shores. The war was slipping away from them. But then fate intervened. Achilles' dearest friend Patroclus took up his armor and led the Greeks in his stead. For a moment, hope flickered in the Greek camp. Then Hector struck him down. When Achilles learned of his friend's death, his rage shook the earth itself. He rejoined the war, not for glory, not for honor, but for vengeance. And vengeance he would have. Before the walls of Troy, Achilles called out to Hector. The Trojan prince knew he could not win, yet he stood his ground. The duel was swift. Achilles was like a storm, his spear unrelenting. Hector fought bravely, but the gods had already decided his fate. With a final strike, Achilles ended his life. Yet Achilles' fury did not subside. He refused to return Hector's body to Troy. Instead, he dragged it behind his chariot, defiling the warrior who had fought with honor. Victory seemed impossible for the Greeks, but then Odysseus devised a plan. They built a massive wooden horse, hiding their best warriors inside. Then they sailed away, leaving the gift before the gates of Troy. The Trojans, believing it a sign of surrender, pulled the horse into their city. That night, while they are celebrated, the Greeks emerged from within. The gates were opened. The city burned. Troy had fallen. From the heavens, the gods watched as their game concluded. Some rejoiced, others mourned. But for the mortals below, it was more than just a game. It was tragedy. It was fate. It was legend. Troy fell, but its story endured. The names of Achilles, Hector, Helen, and Odysseus would never be forgotten. Perhaps that was the gods' true gift, or their final curse.